the one deck that started it all. Well, if we don't count the Marseille deck when I was a kid, when I was like maybe 12 or 13 years old, that would be the one that started it all, I guess. So let's call this one the one that restarted it all. So yeah, we're going to talk about this deck today. So welcome to everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Moran, and I'm trying to launch this new series that I will call Starseed Tarot Lounge. Just to speak about decks, you know, it will be different topic like this one, for example. This today is the one that started it all, or the deck that started it all. But then there will be other topics. The goal of this new series is just to chill, just to spend some time together, speaking about a deck, or at least I will speak about a deck, and then you can comment and let me know your experience with the deck, or maybe how you felt about the whole video and everything. It's really a moment for me to be able to chill and to discuss about topics that I like, decks that I like, and also for to engage the conversation with you guys in the comment section, and you know, all this type of things. So yeah, for those who have been following me, for those who have been watching my videos, it won't be a surprise for any of you. But for those who are new, the deck that I would say restarted it all is the Light Seers. So I have it in this pouch. I don't have the box anymore, the original box anymore. It's in this pouch because for those who don't know either, I've moved from the UK to France. I moved back. So there are a lot of boxes from decks that I didn't keep, and my decks are in pouches. But look at this pouch already, very beautiful. And it's also a sign, you know, when I like a deck, um, it will usually go in a pouch. And this deck restarted it all, but it's also a deck that has a lot of first. So it's the first deck that I put in a pouch. So it's the first deck I got a pouch for. And then many other first things that happened is the first deck that I read with for my friends. Is the first deck that I really studied like very hard. It's all this type of things is first. But anyways, that's the Light Seer Tarot. So everyone has seen this deck. I'm just gonna put some cards away because I think I put some cards. Yeah, put some cards away for us to look at. I kind of like put my favorite cards and some cards which I have nice stories about. So yeah, so this will be the favorite cards. So I will take them back later. And this is four cards that I have nice stories about. But yeah, you've all seen this deck. We've all seen this deck, so I'm not gonna do a flip through. Again, if you've seen my latest videos, I said that I wanted to change the format of kind of reviews that I was doing, like everyone else is doing on YouTube. So everyone usually shows the cards and speak about the card stock and speak about, you know, the backs and all these type of things. But I think like not enough people speak about how they use the deck, or how long they've been using it for, what they tend to use it for if it's a new deck, and what draw them to the deck, how did they encounter the deck, all these type of aspects, which is something that I want to speak about in this video. So I'm just going to speak quickly about the cardstock, I would say. So again, I'm not a very big like cardstock snob, or like I don't really have any issues with cardstock in general unless it's paper, but I do like this cardstock. um, so it's matte finish. There are several versions of this deck. There is a French version as well. So this one is published by Hay House, and there's a French version that is published by Arcana Sakura. And the deck, like the quality of the deck is a little bit different. It's a little bit more, I wouldn't say glossy because it's not glossy, but it's a little bit more on the glossy side. And I think the cardstock is a little bit less dense, I would say, than this one. But this one is very good cardstock. Like I have had this for 6 years, and it's still the same quality, and I use it all the time. So very good. I'm not gonna expand further on, you know, the quality of the deck, or as I said, like I will not show you all the cards. You've probably seen it everywhere because everyone has seen this deck, has used this deck, whatever. So I'm not gonna do a flip through review of this deck. I just wanted to mention a little bit the cardstock and like how good it hold up compared to the years. It's not even bent, so I use it quite a lot. I don't refill shuffle, but sometimes even when you use it like this, it could bend a certain way, and it didn't bend. So yeah, so that's what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about as well as how I encountered the deck, what made me purchase the deck, and what happened after with this deck. So I first encountered this deck, and again, it's gonna be a throwback because it's from 2020. We all know 2020 what happened, but it's a weird year. A lot of things happened, but it feels like not only there was this big situation in the world, a lot of things happened well, for me personally, a lot of things happened in my personal life, like the fact that I was, locked in a house basically. I was lucky enough to have a garden, but everyone was locked. The time slowed down. I also, by some weird circumstances, I gave my resignation at my job maybe a month prior to this whole big thing happening. And I was meant to start my new job, but because of this big thing happening in 2020, I couldn't start my new job before they knew more. So basically, I had 2 months where I was free to do whatever I wanted. Anyways, that's not the topic. The topic is like that's gonna be a throwback because a lot of things in the tarot community happened, I think, around this time. Um, but I first saw this deck on a channel that doesn't exist anymore, but it's gonna be a throwback for those who knew. It was Papa Squirrel. I don't know for those who knew him or those who watched his videos. Papa Squirrel was someone that was reviewing decks, and to be honest, his videos were quite funny and quite. I liked his videos, and I first saw this deck on his channel, and I clicked immediately at the images, and I was like, I need to get this deck. So I went on Amazon, like everyone goes on Amazon to purchase decks, because at the time as well, I know it was a Kickstarter, so it was a Kickstarter before it was released mass market. It was released in mass market in 2019, and I only started my journey of TarotTube and posting pictures of tarot on Instagram in, I think it was around March 2020. So I didn't see the Kickstarter. I didn't even see that it was like I was not even in this world, So yeah, I missed the Kickstarter, and I kind of missed the release of the Light Seers Tarot mass market. But anyways, so it was probably around, I don't know, maybe it would have been April time, something like this, that I would have watched this video and seen this deck, because April and May were the 2 months where I had no job and I could do whatever I want. Everyone was locked in the house. Um, and that's when I really reconnected with everything, and that's when I got this deck. So that's when I can say that's the one that restarted it all, because that's the one that from the first time I saw it on Papa Squirrel's channel, I wanted this deck. So now we're coming to another story that is like kind of a first as well, and it's like it just shows how important this deck is for me because of so many memories attached to it. So we have this, reminiscence of these 2 months where I know the world was chaotic and it was not easy for everyone, but I was off work for 2 months. The weather was glorious. I probably had the best 2 months I had in my adult life during this time. I know it sounds very horrible to say and very weird to say when there was so many things happening, but it's true. For me, it was very an amazing time. I reconnected with things that I liked. I was free, which is yeah, you don't need a lot basically. I still had money coming because I was helped by the government, but because I was not going out, I didn't spend this money on anything. So I was living very comfortably with what I had. Anyways, so another story with this deck is that when I received my first version, at the time in the Hay House kind of production line, there was a printing error. So some of the cards on some of the decks had ink on them, like spots of ink. You would have spots of blue ink everywhere on the card. So on a dark card, you wouldn't see it, but let's say on this card, you would have seen it. So it was like very like a lot of spots. So I had this on like probably 10 cards out of the 78, which is not massive, but still, you pay for something, you expect a good quality. Anyway, so at the time, Martin and I, so if you know Martin at Martin's Musing, um, we were speaking together, but not a lot. And one day I messaged him saying like, "Oh, I received my Light Seers because I was so excited about this deck." So I told him, I was like, "Oh, I received my deck, but it's faulty." And he told me, "Oh no, not you." And I was like, "What do you mean, not you?" He said something like, "Not you as well," or something like this to make me understand I was part of something. So I was like, what do you mean? So he explained me the whole story with the printing issues, and then he gave me the advice to contact Hay House directly, and they will send me a copy for free. So I did it, and then I think that's when we started to become friends, Martin and I, because then we started speaking every day. We became very close. I went to see him in Birmingham a couple of times when I was living back in England. And yeah, I think that's when we became friends, and we are still friends today. We still speak to each other. We don't speak on a daily basis anymore. The relationship changed, which is normal, but we do still keep in touch with each other quite a lot. We comment on each other's, Instagram posts. When we have a life update, we just send it to each other, and we every I don't know every 6 months I would say we send a big voice note to kind of update the other on the major changes that happened and what we want to say. So again, this deck reminds me as well of Martin and the start of my friendship with Martin. So another reason why this deck was and is important to me, so again, like I said, it's a lot of how can I say, a lot of memories attached to this deck. Um, so yeah, that's one of the thing I wanted to speak about as well, is this, memory attached to it, the memories that I have with this deck, and yeah. How do I use this deck? I wanted to mention as well, how do I use this deck? To be honest, there is not a particular situation I use this deck with. For me, it's a very polyvalent deck. It's a deck that you can use with every type of readings you want to do, whether it's a love reading, whether it's a general reading, whether it's a work reading. To me, I've never had a problem reading for different situations with this deck. So again, it's a very good deck to read with. It's very intuitive. I would say it's the one of the best starter deck. So sorry, there's a little bit of a cut in the video, but yeah, so how I use it, I was telling you how I use it. There's no particular situation I had an issue with this deck. Sometimes, like every deck, it gets a bit tired and you don't get the answers that you're looking for when you use it maybe too much. I don't know if it's a thing, but I know for me it's a thing. Sometimes I just have to change deck, and it's also good for me to try out different decks and different ways of reading and see what I can get from other decks. But I tend to come back to this deck most of the time. Like, when I'm tired, for example, or when a friend is asking me for a quick reading and I don't want to think too much because I know this deck by heart, I just take this deck. So this is the Light Seers. Uh, you've uh, you've all know this deck, and all the things that I've explained are also part of why this deck will never leave my connection. It's funny because every time I try to show you a picture, it's always the same that comes up. But yeah, so love this deck. It's never leaving my collection. Um, and it's a good deck, good quality as you can see. But yeah, now I'm going to speak about my favorite cards of the deck. I don't have least favorite card. I could probably find them, but I wanted to focus on the positive. Uh, Probably the tower is one of my least favorite, and um, not because of the way, like the message of the tower. It's just because I found it a little bit dark, like hard to see the details of this card. I'm trying to find it now. Um, yeah, trying to find, like, I don't know. I'm not too sure about this card. Like, it looks better on camera, but when I look at it, I don't see necessarily I don't know, the destruction of the tower that will push me into thinking about, like, how the tower card, what's the meaning of the tower card. Anyways, let me grab the my favorite cards first. We're gonna go ahead with this. So I do like this Four of Swords. I'm trying to not have too much card glaring light. I do like this Four of Swords. This Four of Swords is very good. You have a lot of things to see. I love the fact that it's a big nest, and I love the fact that the heart there, you won't be able to see it much, but there's basically three. There's a scar with three little, I don't know, little scars, and it's basically the next step after the Three of Swords. So you have this message of, like, resting after the Three of Swords, and I love that it's a nest. I think is great. Then we have the Three of Cups. I love the Three of Cups as well. I love the three women. It's really a symbol for me of, like, being connected to each other, having a good support team around you, a good friends around you, being able to celebrate with them. And I also like this Celtic symbol there that is on the back of this one of the three ladies, because my name is coming from a part of France called Brittany, and they have a lot of Celtic um, roots and Celtic culture and Celtic symbology. And my mom gave me one of these. I had it as a necklace when I was a kid. We went to Brittany for holidays and she bought me one. I don't have it anymore, but anyways. So again, there's a lot of things that I remember with this card. I like the Page of Swords because it's really simple to read. It's really simple to see that the Page of Swords love learning and gets many, many ideas about what they're reading. So it's just a very easy way to see the meaning of the Page of Swords. I like the Six of Wands because it really represents victory, and it represents you having to be under the podium and be, the star of your own show. So I like this card. I like the Eight of Cups. Again, very easy to get the meaning of this card, like walking away from something to go towards the sun. I like to, when I pull this card with clients, I also like to tell them that maybe it can be as simple as, putting the things that bother you on a piece of paper and just burn everything in, in a container and let it go and move away from it. So I like this card. I like the Queen of Cups as well, just like the card. I like the Seven of Wands as well. You can definitely see the energy bubble around this lady trying to protect herself from, external influences. I love this card actually. The Eight of Swords, so much like is so representative of how I read the Eight of Swords and how I understand it. So you can definitely see this lady is not trapped, but then she looked in the mirror and she sees herself as trapped. So it's very much like the meaning of these cards. And then I also like the death card. This is one of my favorite deaths in all the decks that I have, if not the favorite death. And this card even says death and rebirth. And I just love the whole design of this card, the beautiful things that you can see through the cloak of the death. It's just gorgeous. Then I like also the Wheel of Fortune. I like these aspects that, the Wheel of Fortune is basically this, it can go one way or the other, depending on what you put in the universe. It will come back to you one way or the other. I like the black and white differences. I like the dice that the lady has as a necklace. Very clever and very nice way to have this card depicted. We only have four left. I like the Magician. I like the fact that he's like really focused on, creating life out of, or creating his reality out of, like, he's putting his attention into a well. And I like this image. Then I like the High Priestess as well, which is the thing that you see on the box, the image that you see on the box. I like the High Priestess. If you look closer, you think like she has her eyes closed, but if you look closer, you can see her eyes are actually open behind the eyelid, which is very much like the idea of the High Priestess, being, you know, seeing things behind the veil, basically. Then we have the Star card, which I love this card as well. Again, very easy to get the meaning of this card. I usually take clients, it's like a wish upon a star, except that you literally bringing yourself the star or your dream life or your goals, your dreams, your objectives. You bringing them from the ether and the universe. You bringing them down to your reality. And then we have the Devil card, which is again such a good representation of the Devil card. You can't get trapped by the devil if you don't give him your hand. So yes, these are my favorite cards. And now we're going to speak about few cards that four cards. It's just four cards. I'm gonna keep the best one or the best story. I would say it's not the best story, but it's a good story that I have about the card. This is more like these three cards are more like a different way for me to read the card from readings that I had, and suddenly, you get some insight, and it's not the necessarily traditional meaning, or the when you learn tarot, it doesn't come with this message in particular, but this is what I used to say to customers. The first one is the Knight of Pentacles, and I usually tell clients, oh, the Knight of Pentacles, if this guy could speak, he would say like, wait for me because I'm coming. I know it's gonna take a long time, it's gonna take longer than what you expect, but I'm coming, and I'm coming with all these rewards for you. It's all the work that you've been putting. I've collected all the fruits of your labor, and I'm going to be there soon. But yeah, wait, don't be impatient, and you'll see the reward and the success. Then we have the Temperance card. So the Temperance card, I read it the traditional way, with the balance and the protection and the the healing and all of this. But I also read it with, I don't know, one day this angel wings just spoken to me, have spoken to me, and I usually tell my clients that they are also protected by their angels and guides, so they should really try to connect with their angels and guides to be able to get the guidance that they need. And this is a card, I always say this, but only on this in this deck. Only this deck, when I see the Temperance card, where I get this message of, yeah, you are protected by your guides and angels. And then the last card is the Eight of Pentacles, which to me is has a little bit of a different vibe as the traditional one. And I usually mention the moon cycle, which is nothing to do with the Eight of Pentacles, but I usually mention the moon cycle. As I say to my clients, maybe you need to look at the moon cycle and when is the best time to manifest what you want, depending on what you want to achieve. Because some phases of the moon are better for things and some other are better for other things. So I usually remind them of this, but I also say, like, maybe you need to start something on a new moon and it will be done by the full moon, so it's just, or by the next new moon. So it's the only card again where I mention the moon cycles. I usually don't do anything with this when I have other decks. But yeah, that's the three cards where kind of like the meaning has changed for me a little bit. And now we're gonna end with the story. So just to give you a little bit of a story about a client and why this deck is important to me and why I know it's a good reader and why I know it's part of the magic of tarot. So this is the Six of Cups. So the Six of Cups is a card that is very good to me. It's reminiscing of, nostalgia and trying to connect back to what we were doing as kids that made us happy and try to reconnect to this. But I have a story with this card. So I used to work in a tarot. It's not a tarot shop. It was like a coffee shop slash studio where you could go, and they were doing, they're still doing it there in Manchester. They call Transcend if you are in the area. But they do, sound bath, they do yoga courses, they do all spiritual type of things. They have a little shop with crystals and all witchy stuff, and then they had, and they still have tarot readers there. So I was part of the team that was a tarot reader there, and I used to go twice a month, and it could be either a Saturday or a Sunday. I'm just saying that because I like to say this story because this is a magic of the universe and the magic of tarot. But there was this lady one time that came, and she didn't plan to come to Transcend. She was with her boyfriend, and he said, "Oh, let's go to Transcend," and she said, "Okay." She was not even from the area. She's from the south of England, but she was just there for, I don't know, the day or the weekend. I can't remember, but she just happened to pass by Transcend. She didn't plan to get a tarot reading, but then she saw me. She saw that I was doing tarot, so she was like, "Oh, are you doing tarot readings?" And then I was like, "Yeah, I do." So she was like, "Well, let's do a tarot reading." So already we can see that there is synchronicities and weird things happening where she was not meant to be there. She was from London. The fact that I am the one that was working there, out of the four people that were doing tarot readings in this place, she came the day I was there. I don't always take the Light Seer Tarot with me. Sometimes I do. Most of the time I do, but sometimes I like to, change it up. Like I said, it's good for me also to see other decks and try other decks, and it's also good for the deck to have a little bit of a rest. So all these three elements, and then this card had to come out. And the story with this card is that she um, lost her father basically, and when she saw this card, she it reminded her of her father because her father used to have a dog like this one. She was like, "It's incredible." if I would show you a picture of the dog and the picture that you have on this, it would be the same. And she showed me the picture on her phone after, because we spoke about it, and it was the same dog. So it was a reminder of her dog, of her father, and it was more like, she didn't take it as like, oh, you need to reconnect with something that you were doing as a kid. She took it as her father being present during the reading. And also, she told me like her father loved his dog so much. And then she said like, I missed having a dog and I always wanted a dog. And she said like, maybe a week after her father passed away, she found a dog that was abandoned on the side of the road, and it was not like this dog, but it was another dog that was abandoned, and she decided to take it, and then she adopted this dog, and she said it was the best thing ever. And now she sees it as her father was sending her this dog to help her, go through the process of grieving and everything. She said like, it was the she this dog, it was a female, this dog helped me heal and grieve, and she was the best thing ever in a difficult time. And then she saw this card and she was like, this is amazing, because it's kind of a confirmation that my father is with me, and almost a confirmation that my father sent me this dog to be able to heal. So that was a very powerful reading. It was a very beautiful reading. But again, out of the 78 cards that could have come out of this deck, this had to come out, and she had to connect with this card with the dog. So yeah, that's also why I love this deck, because there are stories like this, and I'm pretty sure I have stories like this with most of my decks, but this one is very special. And this girl couldn't believe her eyes, and she said like, like the reading was amazing, and it's not me, I'm just reading the cards. I'm just an interpreter of the signs of the universe that you want to hear. But yeah, so that's it. That's the one that started it all, and now I have many decks, and I hope to do more of this type of videos to explain to you how I use this deck, what stories I have about this deck, where did it come from, how did I get it, when was the first time I heard about it. But yeah, so whether you like this deck, hate this deck, I know some people don't like this deck at all. Maybe it's the first time you see this deck, you're new to tarot and you've never seen this deck and you wanted a little bit of a different type of review. I just hope like I inspired you. Maybe you have this deck and it's been sitting in a shelf for months or even years, and maybe I'm helping you reconnect with this deck by sharing my love for it. Whether you hate this deck and you saw this deck with a different eye and now you don't hate it as much, or you just, like I said, you're new, or maybe you're not new, but not new to tarot, but you never really connected with this deck, and now maybe I've given you a reason to see it differently. I don't know, but I liked speaking about this deck. I hope you enjoyed hearing my story about the Light Seers. I speak about it a lot on my channel, but now you understand a little bit more why I speak so much about this deck and why I speak so highly about it, because I do like this deck. I love it. It's in my top 3 favorite deck for sure. And yeah, it has its own pouch, so it's one of my absolute favorite deck, and there are a lot of good stories, whether it's personal with my friendship with Martin, for example, and the whole Tower Tube throwback to 2020, or it's experiences with clients and beautiful stories that I have with it. It's just I love this deck. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this new series. Next time will be a different topic, but I will still have stories about the decks or the deck that I'm showing you. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, let me know in the comments. Let me know if you have a similar story with one particular deck. Let me know if, you know, what you thought about this video. Let me know if, you know, what was your first deck, or what was the tarot that's the deck that started it all. Anyways, just comment, let me know, let's have a conversation about it. But yeah, thank you very much, guys. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.